Right, I have another video for you today, and this video is going to be concerning another crazy story out in this crazy world concerning this whole trans phenomenon that we are experiencing right now in our country, especially in the western parts of the world, Europe and in the United States. And this is another case where this force feeding of trans is causing a stir, causing issues and sort of stirring the hornet's nest continuously. But in this case, it has started a fight amongst students. Yes, a fight amongst students at a school called Martin Luther King High School, and it has made a big uproar. This fight happened maybe about a week ago, and it has stirred up some trouble, and it looks like kids themselves are starting to get tired of this whole trans thing, and it looks like they're starting to stand up for themselves. I do have video of the news of the fight. Just taking consideration that the fight itself is not going to be visible. It's just a freeze frame because YouTube will take this video down if there is actual fighting on there. So just be aware of that. But nonetheless, let's check out this video footage.
At around 5:30, not on the agenda, though, is the reason why there's an overflow crowd here. Parents from Martin Luther King High School want to know more about these fights that were started allegedly by a transgender student. There have been multiple fights. Take a look. Two students arguing at Martin Luther King High School. It's unclear who started the fight, but the tall student is said to be trans. There's pushing and shoving, and eventually another student jumps in and fists fly.
So as you can see, it's the trans student that's the tall one. So that's really a biological man or a biological young man or young boy, a teenager. And obviously the little one is the actual woman, girl, a biological girl. And this is at a high school. Okay, this is at a high school.
Parents and students say the tall student identifies as trans, and that gave the student access to the locker room and bathrooms designated for females.
Yeah, she is homeschooled.
This parent didn't want to be identified, but says she's pulled her daughter out of school for her safety.
The fights that are unacceptable, the things that she does encounter, other students have encountered, walking in the bathrooms, PE, just the acceptance is fine.
Fine, she says, but claims the school is doing too much to accommodate a couple of trans students. She's complained but got no satisfaction.
Everything was on the hush-hush.
Oh, they didn't want to talk to you?
They didn't want to talk to us about it.
Students say fights are an every week occurrence, but the last two fights involved this one trans student, adding fuel to the fire, rumors of the trans student's behavior.
And then he's also in the girls' locker room using girls' restrooms. He spit on my friends that are girls, females, and he shows his genitals in the locker room.
This is another mother who wanted to stay anonymous. She has a female sophomore student and believes the trans student presents as masculine, and that should be enough to keep them away from the teen girls. But she tries to understand the trans student's struggles.
They're obviously acting out because they obviously mentally or probably just have a lot of emotion. They have a lot of feeling going on, and they probably don't know how to handle what's going on and how they're being treated.
But the mom also says this is not an acceptable way to handle their feelings. Riverside Unified School District released a statement this afternoon that says that the trans student at the center of those fights will no longer attend Martin Luther King High School. But I talked to a couple of parents. I'm not sure that that is enough to satisfy them. Reporting live in Riverside, Susan Urasuna, Fox 11 News.
With the crowd behind you there, Susan.
All right, so yeah, so we see a couple things there, right? The number one thing that I want to emphasize here is that how this trans student or this biological boy is disturbing and entering girls' bathrooms, right? Entering girls' bathrooms and exposing himself to these young girls, these young ladies that are in the bathroom. Now, this is absolutely categorically evil, right? This is 100% wrong. And this is one of the concerns as dealing with these trans folks, right? These folks are coming into the bathrooms and exposing themselves, walking around very attempting to just call themselves a girl when they're really not a girl, taking advantage of the situation in the current culture and taking the opportunity to expose themselves to these young girls. This is a huge concern. This is a big problem. And on top of that, fighting and getting into it with people who oppose them, who do not agree with them. The young man who just straight up said how it is, man, this trans student was spitting on people, exposing himself to the girls, fighting the girls. And I think the students are just getting sick of it, right? I think the students are now beginning to stand up. I think the students been sick of it, to be quite honest with you. But the concern and fear is that if you say anything, if you expose it, if you bring it to anyone's attention, now you're canceled. Now you're considered a transphobe. You're considered all these derogatory terms because you're exposing what is actually real and calling people exactly what their biological gender is. And so if you do that, now you're canceled. Another thing that I noticed is that all the parents seems to be afraid to show themselves. They're blurring their face out. They don't want to be seen as, they don't want to be talked about. They don't want to be shown. But the kids are. It's okay for the kids to show their faces though, right? It's okay for them to expose themselves, right? The kids are vulnerable. The kids are in a situation where they can't protect themselves because the parents are too afraid to step up and protect themselves, protect their students and their kids and their children. You know, the parents need to step up to the plate, right? The parents need to step up to the plate and really call it what it is. You notice that one parent said that she took her child out of school and now homeschooling her kid. That is a viable option to do. Right? Because the public school arena certainly ain't gonna protect your kids, right? These kids are essentially out on their own out in these type of schools because these schools are not interested in calling a spade a spade. They're not interested in calling it a duck if it quacks because they're scared of the culture. They're scared of the repercussions. They're scared of the government funding that they may not receive because of them calling it what it is. Right? And the parents need to make sure that they are defending their children. I think this verse fits perfectly into the category. Proverbs chapter 31, verse 8 through 9 says, Proverbs 31, 8 through 9 says, open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all the fortunate. Open your mouth, judge righteously, and defend the rights of the afflicted and needy. That's exactly what we need to do. That is our job as parents. That is our job as people who are in position of authority, who are to be looking after these children who cannot defend themselves, right? And once again, in this culture, we need to be able to stand up and go against the culture because the culture is not on our side. The culture is hedging against us. They're hedging against everything that is of Christ, right? And so as believers, especially, we need to obey scripture and we need to be standing up for our children who are in desperate need. And we see this, once again, we see this from students standing up for themselves because if the parents ain't gonna do it, then it might as well be the kids standing up for themselves because the parents aren't doing it. The parents need to be doing it, but the kids feel the need to stand up for themselves. So here we are. Students are fighting. Students are fighting all the time. Like the newscaster said, it's something that's going on every day. This is an everyday occurrence that these guys are fighting. These trans folks are fighting people who oppose them. So this is not something that just happens every once in a while. And so, but I do have footage of another student who decided to fight a different way. Check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, and only ladies and gentlemen it is and shall always be. I am an 18-year-old high school student and wanted to take this time to bring to your attention the current issue with biological men claiming they are women and in turn truly believing that they are entitled to use women's spaces. There was an incident within our district that occurred recently regarding a transgender woman who really is a biological man having an altercation with a young woman at MLK High School. It was infuriating when I had seen the video on social media, but what was detrimental to this is the fact that this man is and has been using the women's restroom and locker room. Why don't we ever get a say in whether or not we are comfortable with this? The truth is, we aren't. The majority of us aren't, and yet nothing has been done to protect the safety of these women. I will conclude with this. It all starts with you. You are in charge of the safety of us women and the kids of our parents. So please do something about it. Thank you.
All right, so you see that. Now this young lady decided to fight a different way, actually approached the council here, the district, a district assembly, if you will, concerning the same incident of the McKay high school trans fight. And that's a fact, right? Like, why are we making such major adjustments for the minority, right? And she said that majority of people are not with this. Once again, they're afraid of being canceled. They're afraid of being cut off. They're afraid of losing opportunities and things like that. So they're afraid to say anything. This is not me saying that should stop you from saying something. It certainly shouldn't. We should be able to stand up like this young lady did, regardless of the consequences that may come behind that, and stand up for what is right and defend those who are needy, right? And this young lady pointed out that why are they not getting to say so? Why are they not getting a word in edgewise to say what they feel comfortable with or what they don't feel comfortable with? Why is this being forced upon these young children? That's what I'm saying. These teachers and a lot of these teachers and these people in the position of authority at these schools are not interested in protecting students. They're not interested in protecting the majority. They're only interested in protecting and pushing a narrative that it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't flow with logic. These people want you to just reject logic. They want you to reject the understanding of fundamental basis of biology in order to push a narrative, in order to push the current culture, in order to push these nonsensical policies. And as Christians, we should not stand for it. We should be standing up and calling it out whenever we get the opportunity, because our kids are at stake. Our kids are going to be the ultimate victims of this. And like that young lady said, a majority of people are not even with this stuff. A majority of people are against it. But once again, because the adults, because the parents, because of the police, because of the teachers are not willing to stand up and fight against it because of their fear of what they may lose, or because they're not fitting in with the in crowd, they may lose out on opportunities of a promotion, more money in their pocket. Now they don't want to say anything because they're afraid they may lose that. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's sinful and it's horrible. And so, once again, as Christians, we should not be falling for this. We should not play around with this. This is something we should continue to call out and continue to stand against. All right. Well, that's all I have for this video. If you have yet to do so, make sure you subscribe to The Gospel Truth, hit that notification bell so you can stay in the loop with The Gospel Truth and don't miss out on any interviews, debates, or commentaries. All right, take care. God bless.